All right, what up, guys? Welcome to New Jersey HorrorCon. Make some noise if you think Back to the Future is the greatest movie of all time. Come on, make a little noise. All right. That's not bad. Now, you're going to have to make a lot more noise than that because we have Tom Wilson and Lea Thompson here. Come on, make some noise.
Thanks, guys. You can hear us, right? Without.
Can you hear? Oh, this one works. Does yours work?
Look, he brought his ukulele, you guys.
I brought it, my ukulele.
And he knows
I might
how to
play it
use
later if you deserve it. We'll see how this goes, audience people.
Right.
If you're good, maybe we'll have music time.
And if you're really good, we might get a little James Tolkan time, too. He might come here and dish out a little discipline. He's a little held up right now, but we didn't want to keep you guys waiting, so...
Maybe
with
what?
diligence, of course.
I don't know what he just...
What did he
I
say?
heard him say,
Okay.
so... Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So start at the beginning if we could, and I'll do a couple questions. I know the audience is going to be ready to dive in pretty quick, so I was curious what your audition experiences were like and what your first impressions of Bob Zemeckis and Bob Gale were.
I can't remember that far back anymore, but I've heard myself say things, so I'll say them again. I remember the screen test for Back to the Future, and it was in Steven Spielberg's office, and he was running the giant VCR camera, and I don't even know what it was, but it was very relaxed, and I felt so appreciated and taken care of, and I for whatever weird reason, I just understood the characters, and especially I think they had a hard time finding somebody that could get the young Lorraine and then the beaten down old Lorraine, and for some reason I got them both, the characters, and I had to wear a wig and do the voice and all of that, and the script was so brilliant. I loved how crazy it was, and the character, to be in love with my own son, and to have all this repressed sexuality, and the whole thing was just so great for me, and I was so excited to get the part.
As for me...
He's got always better answers.
I do not. Before I do answer, let me say that I've been in show business. This year is my 40th year in show business. And in those, thank you. Please sit down. Please, you're embarrassing me now. That's enough. Take your seats. In that 40, go ahead. What did we
It's my 42nd.
42nd? Whoa! You're like super old then.
I know.
But I just wanted to say, in my 40 years of show business, I have never performed on a stage over the sound of air hockey. It's good to know. We play the classy joints. My experience of the audition was very different from other auditions because these guys knew the whole script. I didn't see the whole script. I just knew some specific things that they had written for my auditions. But I knew that it's various ages, various times. It's a time machine thing. So you're going to be old, you're going to be young, you're going to be all these different things. So the audition process started off young, and then I had to go through age makeup. Did you do an age makeup thing? They did like age makeup on me to make me up to be older, to see how I would act as an old man. Ladies and gentlemen, wait a minute, don't come up yet. I have to give you a big introduction. Okay. He's not gonna, ladies and gentlemen. Are you ready for some show business history now? Let's bring him up, the king of hanging out, Jimmy Tolkan. Look at that. He's coming around now. He has refused to enter the stage because that was not enough applause. He went backstage because he's ticked off at you people. Let's bring him up again. Maybe he's lost back there now. Maybe he's taken up an air hockey challenge. I don't know. Here he comes, James Tolkan. You want to sit here? You want to sit here? You want a sofa with Leah? You want? What do you like it? You want? Okay, that's cool. Go ahead. All right, that's the chord you get, buddy. I'm sorry. Look, mine goes all the way out here.
Okay.
So my audition process was that well, I got the material. I had never played a bully before in anything. I had been bullied when I was in school. I was sick when I was young. I missed a lot of school. I was beaten up by bullies, and I really didn't want to play a bully. I really didn't. But this, as I said, this role presented to me a job. So I wanted a job. So I did it. Big job. So I was paired up. The first time I was ever paired up, sometimes you're going through the audition process and they'll say, they probably did that to Leah with various actors playing Marty. To me, they did it. They said, we'll pair you up. Tom, this is a guy, Crispin Glover, who's a young actor. And we went outside to prepare the material to go back into the room and audition for the people. And we started the scene. I said, McFly, did you finish my homework? And he changed into George McFly. Well, Biff, I just don't know. And I just thought, I might not get cast as Biff, but if they don't cast this guy as McFly, they're out of their minds, man. This guy is fantastic. Wow. So I hadn't acted in movies then. I'd acted in a few TV shows, a few TV commercials. I was on hot chocolate commercials and chicken commercials and all sorts of things, but I didn't think I could probably be cast in a movie at that point in my career. So I was auditioning, hoping I would be good enough to maybe get cast as one of Biff's gang members. They'll probably give it to a big star, like Andrew McCarthy or Judge Reinhold or somebody. But I was trying to be Biff's gang member. So it ended up that Crispin and I were just paired together and went all the way up, callback after callback, until I actually got the role.
Could I ask you something?
I'm still answering, Jim. So when
what was the question?
The question was how you got the role in Back to the Future. How did you get the role as Strickland?
I think I'm the only actor in that movie who didn't have to audition. I was doing a play in New York. I was doing David Mamet's play, Glenn Ross, and I got a message from this guy, Robert Zemeckis, to do Back to the Future. I didn't know who he was, never heard of Back to the Future. And I always said, as an actor, I'm a New York actor, and I'm not going to Hollywood till they send for me. So I said, this is my chance to go to Hollywood. So I said, okay. He had seen me in a movie directed by Sidney Lumet called Prince of the City. And I think from that, he decided that I would be right for the character. So here I am today as a result of that. Thank you.
David Mamet play in New York.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Waiting for Hollywood to call.
Right. I was at a carnival getting dunked in a dunk tank from kids.
I was a Wolverine.
Wolverines!
I was shooting AK.
Wolverines!
Yeah. Somehow they thought that made me the perfect person to play Lorraine McFly. I don't know.
Right. And they might have seen me in a Kentucky Fried Chicken commercial introducing biscuits, and maybe that was it. They said, look at how he gets that biscuit. Such surprise, wonder, joy. A new biscuit in his hand. So they cast me probably, I think.
Because you mentioned Wolverines, I have to segue. Did you screen test with any fellow Wolverines for Back to the Future?
Yeah. Well, if you guys are real BTTF nerds, you know that Michael J. Fox wasn't the first Marty McFly. The first Marty McFly was Eric Stoltz. So I screen tested with C. Thomas Howell, who I had been a Wolverine with, and with Eric Stoltz. And someone else, I can't remember who it is. Someone else. Anyway, it was a weird position to be in because I had the part, and they were my friends. So I felt really nervous. Like
Oh,
I
so
didn't-
you were cast and they were still
I think
trying
so,
to figure
but
it
as
out.
I told you, my brain is very fuzzy. But I think I was already cast.
Oh,
I don't
wow.
know. But yeah, so it was weird.
And now I'm dying to know who the third is.
I know.
It was Gene Simmons from Kiss.
Yeah.
It was weird. Like, if we go in another direction.
Yeah. It's remember.
It's one of those movies. There's so many like legends, and you wonder how many of them are true. Like I always heard rumors Ralph Macchio straight up turned down the role of Marty McFly, because he did the Karate Kid the year before, so he would have been, But I'm like, I can't really see that even being offered.
The problem is every time before when I do one of these, I'm like, I should read all of the 9 Back to the Future books so I can pretend I
Right.
remember all this stuff or knew it.
But the thing is,
I never do.
In the big view, the thing is, before Back to the Future came out, we were just auditioning for a movie. That was back. We weren't auditioning for Back to the Future, the iconic classic that will live for all time. You just like, I want to be in a movie, sure. Back to the Future was the sort of ugly stepbrother because Goonies was the big movie. Goonies had like waterfalls, pirate ships. Goonies got their jackets. They were like those leather-sleeved Letterman jackets. We got cheapo Nike windbreakers.
Oh my gosh, I still have mine. Do you
See, I have
one?
your mind. Yeah,
Oh,
it's
wow.
a cheapo windbreaker.
Yeah, it was a windbreaker. Did you have the windbreaker from back?
I never even got a windbreaker.
You can have
Oh
mine.
my gosh. Hold the press.
You can have mine, Jim. Pfft, he can. I'm selling it on eBay. So, but Back to the Future was okay. It's a cute little time travel movie about a car that was in the early versions. It was a refrigerator. The time machine in the first draft, you had to get into a refrigerator, close the door, and be near the New Mexico atomic tests. That was in the first draft.
Yeah.
And they thought, well, kids will get in refrigerators now and die, so we can't have it be a refrigerator. So they made it into a DeLorean. But my point being, at all these steps, casting people and who's turning it down and all this thing, it was a movie. It wasn't dun, 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 Back to the Future. That didn't even happen when it was released. That's happened over the last 34 years.
Well, it's interesting to hear you say that because to me, like, this movie's larger than life. I've been obsessed with it since I was a kid. I wore out a VHS copy of the movie, like, till the wheels fell off by the first year of its own VHS release, I think. So I watched this movie. I have no memory of even seeing it for the first time. But it's larger than life to me. I think, oh my God, perfect casting, acting, cinematography, special effects, directing, everything. It's hard. It's easy to forget that like this larger than life movie was like a very real everyday job to you guys. So I was always curious, how would you describe like the average day on set? What was like the average shooting day like? If there is such a thing.
I mean, I thought it was a great script, and they don't come along that often, or like ever. And I did think it was a great script.
Oh, yeah, it's
And when I
fantastic.
showed up and I saw you, and sometimes you get a job and you show up and you see the other actors they cast, and you're like, oh no, we're dead already. It happens a lot in pilots. For TV, they like cast the wrong people, and you're like, what were you thinking? Or you go to the set and it's stupid. Or they do rewrites and they suck. So this one, everything for me felt like it was going okay until they fired Eric. But that was just a little thing. And
Just a little tiny
Just
thing.
a little thing. But it just felt so good. You were so funny. You were so amazing. And I don't know. It took a long time to shoot it. It was almost 6 months, right?
Well,
They
yes,
had to
because
reshoot 6 weeks.
Yeah, they didn't stop after a couple of weeks and replace the star of the movie. I mean, we did like 6 weeks of
6
shoot.
weeks.
We were at the State in a movie shoot where it's sort of coming. The end is you could see the end, and everyone said, "Oh, do you have anything lined up after this?" And things are getting unusual, and then they said, "Well, we're going to replace this guy. This guy on a TV show, Michael J. Fox, is coming in, and we're going to do all those scenes over."
Yeah, I know. I'm about to go do a movie that's only 15 days, but so they were 3 weeks in 6 weeks in when they fired him. So, yeah, that was weird. But the shooting process was sometimes it was really slow, especially Back to the Future 2. That was really a long shoot.
Well, when you're doing the second one and you know it's huge, and you have a time machine, and you know you're going to the West, and you have all these, it's, I think, going to get complicated, which
What was
it did.
your favorite movie, James?
The favorite movie I've been in?
You know, the favorite Back to the Future movie.
Oh, part two. I love part two because it's so insane.
Yeah.
I mean, you know.
But what's the favorite movie you've ever been in?
Oh,
I'm just interested.
I think Prince of the City.
Prince of the City.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I will say my favorite Strickland moment is
And
definitely
the
in part
reason,
two.
It was my favorite movie because when you work with Sidney Lumet, you get a rehearsal period. We had 3 weeks of rehearsal before you start shooting. So when you start shooting, everybody knows their job, and everybody goes home at 4 o'clock every day, and he finishes the movie 3 weeks ahead of schedule because of the preparation. And that's why I enjoyed that movie so much.
Excellent. Let me talk about Jim for a second. Jim is, I kid about him being a historic actor, but we're talking about, Woody Allen movies, Love and Death. I show a picture of him in a movie with Robert Mitchum called The Friends of Eddie Coyle. I mean, this man has been in many, many movies at a time when movies were really getting into people's heads and hearts, which I think, in a sense, if you follow my drift, has created all of this, has created a culture where movies have meant so much to them, where they went out and they followed other movies, other actors, and everything. So I really admire Jim so much for all of that work that he did at a time when movies were really really at their.
They were quite different.
They were quite different
Yeah.
now, And there was and to your movies, to the movies that you did, there was a grittiness to them. Those movies, the '70s, early '80s, there was a reality to them that those Tyrone Power movies hadn't had.
And no special effects.
No special effects. Well, yeah, we can get into special effects. If you I get all technical about it, but if you think about those movies, the Back to the Future movies, or 2001: A Space Odyssey, there wasn't such thing as a computer making a special effect. You had a camera, and you had to create the special effect out of the camera, out of models, out of actual fire in the street when the when the car goes into the future. They had to have like gasoline on the street that had to be about at the same height, the flames that would go all the way down to where the car was. And it was a pain in the neck because, a big stripe of gasoline and some of it goes out and some of it's that much fire and some of it's this much fire. So it was very, very time consuming, and it took a lot of attention for these guys to take miniatures and all this stuff and a camera and build all of the effects in a movie like Back to the Future.
It's crazy because now I'm a director now, and I can do things in the editing room, split screens and use 2 different people from different takes. I can do it in the editing room, and it can go on TV. And when we did Back to the Future, and Michael was like 4 people, it took like a month.
It took forever for me to do the
month.
talking to myself, all those things.
Oh my God! Now you can just do it in the editing room. Boom.
I'm on DC Legends of Tomorrow. Some of you know the show. DC Legends of Tomorrow was a lot of effects. And really, and still, I'm, the old guy saying, well, how is my head going to go? And they're, nothing, computers. We just hand it to a guy, say, and then make flames come out and make him float into the air and fly out the window, whatever. It's, computers.
Crazy.
Listen, I have a question for the audience. Any slackers out there? I guess not.
I'm not being rude, everyone, but my aunt is coming, and she might be texting me right now. So
okay.
I'm just
I'll
going to say,
talk.
I'm at the Q&A.
Just got phone
Something
plug.
like that. Yes, okay.
So one thing I've always been curious about actually is, it's pretty well documented the way they shot the downtown Hill Valley stuff on the back lot. They did the 50s scenes first and then trashed it down to do the 80s scenes. I was always curious if shooting, all the other stuff was done in the same way. Like, was the McFly, home stuff done after the fact? The 80s, were all the 80s scenes done at the end of the movie, or was it, Or was it just kind of mixed up, like all over the place?
I don't know.
Okay.
I only know that it was always magic. Like I remember walking into the dance, and it was always magic for me when I would walk onto these sets and they'd be changed, or everybody would look like they were in the 50s, or or the Western town coming over the hill, seeing the crazy sets that they built. That's one of the great joys of being an actor for me.
And the creative process. Bob Zemeckis would be there, or Bob Gale, and we're in this Western town, and horses and wagons and a stagecoach and cowboys and everything. And I said, you guys just thought this up in your head, You just said, you were in an office somewhere and you had a typewriter or a computer and you said, oh, maybe a time machine. And you wrote that out and you created all of these things. And it's created an entire world here. And it's created an entire world of you guys watching the story, enjoying the story. So it's what a gift creativity is, and the arts.
So I do have one more before I turn it over to the audience. I know you guys are ready to dive in. I've always been curious about the first time you each got to see the finished film. Was it with an audience? Was it a test screening, or was it like a private screening on Universal? Or if you have any memories of seeing the film for the very first time?
That's so long ago, I don't remember.
Okay.
I don't remember that, but I do remember sometime in the middle of that summer going with my boyfriend, who was Dennis Quaid at the time, and going to the... True story.
Couldn't get Randy?
Not Randy. Dennis. And we went to the Cinerama Dome, which is a really great theater. And we pulled up. We were like, "Oh, let's go see my movie." And we pulled up, and the guy in the parking lot said, "Oh my God!" And he gave us a free spot. And then we went in, and it was completely sold out. And it had already been out for like a month and a half, completely sold out. And I stood in the back, and I watched the movie play with a full house. It was really one of the great experiences of my life. I stood there for the whole movie like a little kid and enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Do you remember the premiere?
I do. I do. They had a screening at the Academy Theater, the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences. They have a big screening room there for the industry, and it's a beautiful theater with big, like, 15-foot Oscar statues on both sides of the screen, real Hollywood fancy schmancy. So me and my then girlfriend, who's now been my hot wife of 34 years, but we go to this thing. So it's a very, very industry-heavy crowd. All kinds of directors were there, and all sorts of people, and the buzz was out that, we hear this is pretty good. We hear this is supposed to be good. Anyway, the movie plays. The whole audience is riveted, and an industry audience is kind of known for sitting on their hands a little bit, for just looking at it with a little more judgment than you guys, with being a little, I don't know, I might have done that better. Anyway, but they were in rapt attention to the movie. When the movie ended, the credits are rolling for the movie, and the crowd there went crazy. Mark McClure and I have talked about this. The crowd went crazy. They just were applauding and applauding and applauding. What they were applauding was the entire role of workers on the movie, the cast. They were applauding the costumers. They were applauding the stuntmen. They were applauding and applauding and applauding. And then, at the end of the movie, the final end, the curtains go down and the lights come up, and these spotlights go on to the Oscar statues. And you're like, man, this is Hollywood, man. Wow. And then the room just erupted. Everyone is reaching over to Bob Zemeckis. Oh my God, it's fantastic. And all these guys, I'm trying to remember this director and that director. I remember John Milius, the director of your Red Dawn. John Milius, Joel Schumacher, these guys. And I don't know, I'm trying to remember them. So just remember, in your head, because they're coming up to go, oh my God, that was fantastic. So I had hoped, everybody, I hoped that it would be a good movie. I hoped that I would be good in it. I hadn't done a lot, but you hope you'll just really do your best and have somebody like it. So to have that experience, to do it, it ends, and everyone goes, "Oh my God, it's fantastic!" was really, really, that like you, it's very, very memorable. A singular moment.
Imagine. Very cool. So I know you guys are ready to dive in. We got questions for these legends up here, guys. We're gonna be shy. Here we go.
Yes, sir.
Hello. Have you ever played any of the Back to the Future video games?
Have we ever played Back to the Future video games? I have not. Have you?
I have not. Have you? I know you did. You love the Back to the Future video game. Have you ever played it?
No.
Oh, come on. I see you on your phone.
I think I might have played a pinball one, and they paid me for it, so that's why I played it.
They paid you? They didn't pay me for the
They
pinball.
paid you for the
They did
pinball.
not pay me for the pin. I have a
What?
long. I'll tell you the pinball story.
Oh my God, we got a pinball. They paid me for the pinball one.
They didn't pay me for pinball. I don't get paid for pinball, and I'm all over the pinball machine.
That's not fair.
That is not fair. You know what happened? Well, I'll tell you later what happened with the pinball. Come to it's free with every purchase. I'll tell you the pinball story. It's too long. It's too long.
Simon, the pinball wizard.
So it's really great time here, your humble beginnings and Tommy particularly. I'm curious if the magic ever has died for you guys. Like, crew that's been out for quite a while. Do you guys still enjoy coming to these sort of events and meeting with your fans? And is magic still there for you guys?
Do we still enjoy coming to these events, and is there still magic in our work as artists? That's the question. Yes, I still feel so much magic, and I still feel so grateful to you guys for the ability to continue to perform, and the fact that what we've done still lives on and creates joy in people's lives. It's an incredible honor, and I never get sick of that, and I still love working with artists, and I love being part of a community and sharing this energy with you guys. How do you feel?
Unlike Lea, I hate people. So
He hates performing too.
get out. I grew up in Philadelphia. I grew up on 64th Street in the Overbrook section of Philadelphia. Who in Philadelphia would ever think that they would go to Hollywood, put on spurs and cowboy boots, a full outfit, a gun on your holster, riding a horse, and walk into a saloon, pushing open those doors like Clint Eastwood, behind you, and the whole place is scared of you, and the tables go, and everyone goes to the side just because you're standing in the room. Is that cool or what?
So cool.
It's unbelievable. So, to do that is an incredible thing. I can't believe it. It seemed like I had a talent for acting. Teachers were telling me that, but from Philadelphia, you just don't think, right? You don't think, well, yeah, I'm talented at it, but I have to get a job, like my brothers, like my family. And a couple of very important teachers to me said, no, I think you have the talent. You could become a professional actor. So I moved to New York to dip my toe in the water. And then it seemed like, well, you're not bad. You're good, actually good at it. So, and then you go on this path. But can I believe the path I've been on? And I actually can't believe it. And even now, you guys know the pictures that you've seen of Hollywood, where the sun's setting and it's up against all those studios, the sound stages and the big walls and the trucks running through and everything. And it's so like da-da-da-da-da-da. And, and there are Roman gladiators over here and they're shooting a movie over there. Well, I walk through there now all the time, and it's where I work. But even today, after 40 years, I will look out over that scene and go, man, this is unbelievable. I can't believe that I've been able to do this, because really, like everybody, look, you guys know, like everybody, I'm like, I don't know, I fooled everybody. Nobody came up to me and we then said, we know you're that kid from Philadelphia who snuck in. No, where's your wristband? I just can't, out, let's go. I always thought that was going to happen, and it didn't, so I appreciate it very much. because I love movies. You know, I love movies, right? I love it. And then when I meet actors like Jim knows. I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled to be around Jimmy Tolkan, or when you work with big stars or something. I can't believe it. And you know, you get to work with a big, like as I know you have. You work with a big actor and you go, oh my gosh, that is so and so, and they come up to me or you and say, boy, I really enjoy your work in that. You were just like, I can't believe it.
I'd like to say something. I think all of us owe a great deal to Michael J. Fox. He was such a special person to work with. He was so easy to work with, so mercurial, so bright, and I think that's one of the reasons we're all here today. Thanks to Michael J. Fox, don't you think?
Thank you to Michael.
Yes.
Thank you to Michael.
Wish he was-
But he's not here, so let's talk about that jerk for just a second.
Wait, Jimmy, how long have you been in the business?
I think about 55 years.
Whoa, he's got us beat. Woo-hoo.
Wow, I got 15 years to go. I'm quitting before that. I'm already tired. You see?
Most of those years were working in the stage in New York. I was kind of new to Hollywood. That was my first Hollywood movie, Back to the Future, and I was. It introduced me to these guys. Thank you.
So we're getting close on time. They just gave me the warning. We do have time for one last audience question, though. So we've got
This
a good
gentleman
one.
here, he's been raising his hand a while.
Right on, cool.
What's your fondest memory from filming and either of the three movies?
Our fondest memory of shooting Back to the Future. Let's start with James. What's your fondest
Your
memory
fondest memory of the shoot.
of shooting Back to the Future?
Oh my goodness.
Make it up. Make it up.
I think my fondest memory was just getting the job. You know.
That's good.
That's right.
Really.
Had nothing to do with working with me, Jim. Fine.
My fondest memory is a lot of memories of Bob Zemeckis. Just had such. He remembers when you talk to him, it was like a lot of pain for him because directing a movie for 6 months is really difficult. And then Back to the Future 2 and 3 was a whole year. But what I remember is him laughing. I remember him just getting such a kick out of every crazy detail that he would load into every shot. And as a director, he really inspires me because he never gave up. He would always, until you were moving on, he was always trying to pack it with more fun. And I remember him saying, when people see this movie 2 or 3 times, I was like, oh yeah, right. And now people have seen it 50 times. But he thought of each one of you when he was making every single shot, to add more, to show more, to never give up until he would get such a kick out of it. And I remember he would get such a kick out of our performances when we hit it, That was my favorite.
Boy, I have so many, a lot of favorite stuff. I loved playing the gunslinger in the West and learning horseback. I got to learn horseback riding from Corky Randall, who rode stunts with John Wayne and taught the movie director John Ford how to ride a horse. I got to learn from him. I got to ride with these stuntmen who were historic stuntmen who had worked in the 40s and 50s in John Ford movies and ride horses in the Sierra with them. I got to learn quick draw. Again, guys, I'm from Overbrook in Philadelphia. I got to learn quick draw from this guy Arvo Ojala, who had worked all the Westerns. He was a quick draw expert. At that time, he was about 83 years old. He was the slowest, fastest man I'd ever seen. We begin, he takes me aside over there to say, I'll teach you how to do it, Tom. And he has a gun and I have a gun. And he goes, now, when you think about shooting a single action revolver, you hit it with your thumb and you just, like that, So it was so amazing to be working with the top level of everyone. But my favorite, I have to say, and this is not self-serving, I mean this back as the kid from Philadelphia who I got cast as Biff and kind of thought I was in very deep water because I was working with a lot of people who were movie actors who'd done a lot of things. And I'd done some TV shows and stand-up and some theater. But I thought, boy, I'm out of my element here. And Bob Zemeckis, the director, was very busy because he was having issues with the performance of the star, all of these things. So I would do a scene as best I could. Big, biff stuff. Like I was doing an impression of the bullies that bothered me when I was in school. But Bob wasn't saying anything. He would just, like the scene would be over, and I really went, for it. And the scene, okay, now we're going into the cafe for this scene over here, and I'd be like no one was saying if it was good or bad, nothing. Just they would move on. Finally, I didn't want to do it, but I was so full of insecurity. I go up to him just like a kid, like, Bob, is this like working? Is anything I'm doing working? Or I don't know. And he said, Tom, it's perfect. Look around. Look around at all these actors. Look around at the machines, the cameras, the trucks here. Look at how much money they're spending to make this movie. It's perfect. The signal that it's not perfect is when we just do it again, right? We do it another time. And then, but when it's perfect, I move on to the next thing. So stop worrying about it. And then, it wasn't like it was a great compliment. It was just me thinking to myself, I think I can do this. Like, I think I got this. This acting in a big movie with all these actors. And that is a very, very good feeling.
Unfortunately, we're just about out of time, guys. Make sure you stop by their tables, get some autographs, get some photo ops. They have a million more stories to tell you, I'm sure, and make some serious noise for them taking the time.
Thank you so much for coming out.